Ricardo and I, two 19-year-old boys, both came from well-off families in North Jersey. Every summer we spend time on the Jersey Shore, where I have a house in Belmar and Ricardo has a house in Lavalette. One random summer evening during the week, Ricardo drove us from my house in Belmar down to Lavalette. The trip takes about an hour. We had no special plans, just wanted to enjoy a quiet, relaxing night by the beach. As we were driving, we agreed not to go to any of the parties that were happening all the time. Instead, we decided to grab a few beers and relax on one of the private beaches under the stars. Lavalette also has a beach in Bayside Beach, which has high sand dunes and steep cliffs. We had a few drinks at Ricardo's house before grabbing our bikes from the garage and heading toward the beach. Ricardo insisted on going further than usual, choosing a deserted beach at the end of the road. When we arrived, there were no cars parked and all the lights were off in every house. The scene is quiet and desolate, creating a feeling of peace, but also a bit scary. We parked our bikes, spread out our blankets, and started to relax. We sat on the sand, looked at the night sky, and drank beer. Our story moves from old memories to future plans. Suddenly, Ricardo listened and told me to be quiet. I also listened and heard strange noises in the distance. The noise became clearer and clearer, like footsteps on sand. We looked around but didn't see anyone. Ricardo turned on his phone's flashlight and looked around, but still couldn't see anything. The footsteps stopped, and the space became quiet again. We tried to calm down and continue the story, but the feeling of anxiety still did not leave. We decided to leave the beach and go back to Ricardo's house. When we were about to get on the bike, the footsteps sounded again, this time clearer. Ricardo and I looked at each other, fear evident in our eyes. We quickly jumped on our bicycles and pedaled quickly home. When we arrived, we felt safer, but still couldn't forget those scary footsteps. Another summer night, Ricardo and I decided to take a walk around my neighborhood in Belmar. We walked along the beach, watching the moonlight reflect on the water. The scene was peaceful and beautiful. We decided to walk further than usual, to an area with less traffic. The lights from the houses gradually dwindled, and we only had the light from the moon to guide us. We talked about everything from school to family life. We entered the old house. The door creaked when opened. Inside the house was dark and dusty, with no signs of life long ago. We turned on our phone's flashlight and started exploring each room. The house seems to have been abandoned many years ago. We found old objects, from books to abandoned furniture. Ricardo found an old diary and began reading it aloud. The diary belongs to a young girl, telling about her life in this house. We were caught up in the story in the diary until we heard noises from upstairs. We looked at each other, worried and scared. Ricardo decided to go up to check, and I followed. We walked up the stairs, each step making the floor creak. When we reached the upper floor, we saw a room with light shining from the door. Ricardo pushed the door open and we entered. In the room, we see a large mirror, reflecting the light from our flashlight. On the mirror, there are words written in blood. They are still here. I felt cold down my spine and wanted to leave immediately. We hurried down the stairs and out of the house. When we reached the beach, we stopped to catch our breath. The feeling of fear still lingered, and we vowed never to return to that house. Until I was about 25 years old, I lived in a small coastal town. My neighborhood was about a 20-minute walk from the beach. You could say that 80% of my personality is ocean-related. I've been surfing for longer than I can remember, and it's unusual for me to take off a pair of shoes without a bit of sand in them. My two best friends, let's call them Armin and Chuck, are both extroverted, open, and charismatic. We are all 18 years old, obsessed with girls, and ready to push the limits of what can we achieve before entering college. It was a late Saturday night, just a few weeks before the end of senior year. Armin and I had plans to meet two girls from our high school. We were going to pick them up, go to a secluded beach, and enjoy the cool and clear night. We had blankets and a few bottles of wine, the perfect combination for stargazing. I took the shortest route to the beach, about a 30-minute drive. The four of us had a good time in the car, laughing and talking about mutual friends. At one point, Sophia and I had a deeply philosophical conversation about the nature of time and death. We all really enjoyed each other's company. The beach I chose had a dirt road that you could drive up. From there, we walked a sandy trail. It was quite steep, but I chose it because it was deserted and the sky would be clearer to stargazing. After a few hours, the bottle of wine was gone, and Armand and I found ourselves left behind. He and Fran went one way, and Sophia and I went another. We lay on the blanket and fell asleep under the stars. Sophia suddenly tensed up. At first I thought that was what I had done, but then she whispered, "Did you hear anything?" I strained my ears, but all I could hear was the gentle sound of the waves. Then I heard it, a faint buzzing sound, like a small motor. It seemed to be moving around us, but I couldn't locate it. Suddenly it disappeared into the night. Sophia shouted and pointed up. I looked and saw nothing but dark sky. I sat down next to her to get a better look, and there it was, a drone hovering right above us. It lingered for a moment before flying into the night. I was angry with myself for not realizing sooner. We were being followed. I glanced at Sophia, who was crying, and tried to comfort her. We returned to the car, finding Armin and Fran already there. We drove home in silence, the fun of the evening completely gone. The girls didn't feel safe going home, so we decided to go to Chuck's place. His parents were great and seemed like it's the perfect place to regroup. I needed some time alone to think about what happened. I checked my phone, which I hadn't touched since the incident. There was a notification. Played now, see an AirTag near you. With a heavy heart, we are being watched. I searched the car, and there it was, hidden in the wheel well. I smashed it to pieces, but the fear was still there. We were being watched, and I didn't feel safe. I ran inside and showed everyone the broken AirTag. We spent the night in Chuck's basement, terrified. Weeks passed without anything happening. We breathed a sigh of relief, thinking everything ended. Then one Sunday morning, I got a call from Chuck. He was holding the pictures, clearly showing Sophia and I on the beach that night. We called the police, but they couldn't do anything. That experience was truly sad. We can only hope those photos never resurface. That night changed us forever. Always observe your surroundings. You never know, someone might be spying on you. Thanks for watching. Always stay safe out there.